Hey, glad you could make it. Welcome to Fantasy Dad Pods, where dad bods are glorified and dad jokes are encouraged. I'm JT, accompanied by Sean. Sean, how we doing?
We're doing pretty good. This weekend, for those obviously that aren't in our area, it rained all weekend. Which actually had a couple of dry spots, made the yard look super good. So I was pretty pumped about it. So it made up for a lot of little watering that I had neglected in the beginning. So my grass looks perfect. Second thing, while we were going there, I think we talked last week about how I was making an IKEA trip. I did, and I ate at IKEA for the first time, and I gotta say, pretty good, pretty good. It's much like Costco. I described it as Costco because, like, all things considered, it's pretty good amount of food for how much you're going to spend. Like, not
hmm
quite as good of a deal as Costco because Costco is literally like losing money on food, but they, like IKEA, they know you're going to come in there and buy something that's not food, and that's where they're going to get their money.
Right.
So I appreciate that from them. Like, hey, we'll give you a reasonably good amount of food for how much you're going to pay if you're going to come up here and drop 4 digits like we did. So, been putting those together all week so far. Actually almost done, I think. Got a lot of that done. Yeah, the yard looks good. I got to buy a new blade though. But yeah, a lot of screws and drills and all that stuff for this week. Very very dad like. So, what else? What else? Son cracked his head open, which
Yeah.
shared online. Yeah, pretty good noggin. Busted it open pretty there, but he did pretty good. So yeah, I'm very. Usually, some of the times I come on here, it's not very much dad stuff, just kind of chill. But this is very like lawn, putting stuff together. Son's face is bleeding, so you got to stitch it up, toughen him up, put some glue and some steri strips on there. So yeah, we went full gamma there on the dad. I cooked yesterday, so like everything all over the place. So we're getting full onto it. What about you, JT?
Well, other than coaching baseball,
I was gonna say you don't probably have time for any other dad stuff.
yeah. Well, Sunday was super rainy. Usually Sundays are non-baseball days. Um, Went over to the in-laws, jumped in the hot tub. So it was kind of cool. It was raining, but it's covered, and you're in the hot tub. That was nice. And then took the oldest to the local uh, CBRC gym with the racket and tennis. So we played tennis for a good hour, and he's getting better at that. So he's
Okay.
just got he's got a natural like turn, whether it's golf or baseball or tennis. Like he's just got solid hand-eye coordination. He's got a nice turn, kind of athletic. So just kind of he enjoys it, and I like going with him. And he's seen the people play pickleball. He was just like, "What's that all about?" I was like, "Let's just
Let's get one
let's
at a time.
let's make it to the summer, and then we can go because there's drop in pickleball like all the time now because that's like
Oh yeah.
the sport."
Oh yeah. It's going crazy.
So yeah, but yeah, it's been good. Teams, baseball teams been solid, and um, yeah, we played into the wee hours. Otherwise, we would record this earlier in the week. But um, yeah, didn't get home till like 8:30. Which like it was getting like almost kind of like we can still see the ball. Okay, I was kind of worried about safety issues. So, but it all worked out. We had we played 5 innings. Our team had like 20 hits. Like we really played well and had a good offensive game.
There we go.
So
There we
yeah,
go. Call them up, Mariners. They need your help.
right.
Well, guys who do need some help, injuries. Baseball, Solaire, no more solar power for a little bit. Injury list:
Yeah,
right shoulder Solaire injury. Um, Bummer. Was having a monster season so far, or a good season so far. So, um, let's see. We could talk forever on like guys who are nicked up, but like guys who are actually on the injured list. Who's coming? Oh, well, I mean, the one that came to mind, JT. I don't know if you saw it. Was catcher.
Yep.
Um,
Contreras.
Contreras, yeah. Have you ever seen that? Like for those, I'm gonna try to describe it for those. Obviously, this is a audio podcast. Like usually, and even they said it live on the broadcast. JD Martinez hit him in the forearm on his backswing, but he was cheating so far up, he actually got hit on the initial swing. So on the down, he was so far up. He didn't get hit in the glove. He got hit on the forearm. That's how far forward his glove was into the zone. And yeah, broke his forearm like on the spot. So yeah, swinging a big guy, strong guy like JD swinging a big fast bat in the forearm did some damage. So 6 to 8 weeks, they said. Depending on the fracture, it's probably in that type of injury. It's probably going to be closer to 8, I would assume, if not more. But maybe he got lucky and it was just a simple break. But yeah, it did not look like he was having a fun time after.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if this is like what's the families in Romeo and Juliet, the Capulets and the Monte Cristos or whatever. I don't know if this
Montagues,
is the Montagues. Yeah, I don't know
yeah,
if this is Contreras versus Martinez because Martinez last year hit Willem Contreras twice on the swing, and then I got the brother with the break. But
yeah,
yeah, the organization had like
hmm
during the not the interview, but like the local beat writer was like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna have him move up in the towards the box a little bit closer, try to get some of those lower strikes
let's get some
called."
strikes.
And then as soon as like the next day or that same day is reported, he is way up in
Yep,
obstruction and way up in Martinez business. And I don't know, it's kind of a bummer because like one of those things where you're just like, well, it's like kind of signed up for that if you were trying to strategically move closer, but
yep. It's the
it's
it's the
it's
it's the
never
trade off.
good.
Yeah, that's the trade off there.
It's
Um,
never good because he was having a really good year, 950 ish OPS if I remember right, and
oh, he
having
was
a
there. Yeah,
really solid
yeah.
catching season or at least for a fantasy catcher. I know he was one of those top 10 drafted, but you definitely could wait on him. I felt like there's a little bit of discount because he kind of had an off year last year, and man, he started out really strong, and it's kind of unfortunate.
We
Probably
we
won't see
talked
him
about
for a
that. That
while.
was that was how the Cardinals handled him. They're like, "You're not playing. You're not. This is your fault." Like how they like then benched him, then like didn't, and then yeah.
Yeah.
Last year, I feel like new team, everything like that, got to a slow start, and then like it spiraled with how they handled it. I
Yep.
thought this was kind of who he was going to be more when they just like relax because the Cardinals aren't used to losing, and they had to find a scapegoat. They blame the new guy, and I'm like, just relax. Contreras, maybe it didn't start off the new team, new year how you thought he was, and this year he was like, I'm comfortable. Let's do the thing. And unfortunately, yeah, you're not going to be as comfortable for 8 weeks.
Yeah, they really had come together and probably maybe in the off season or something because he was just he was like over verbose about like I would die for this team. It's like wow,
Yeah.
it's a lot different than the vibe it was last year. So that was refreshing to see. But yeah, unfortunate. That's baseball.
Yeah, that is
Um,
baseball. Um,
Christian Encarnacio Strand does have a hand fracture, but I still think it's the old one that we're hitting the
really?
IL
Yeah.
for. I
Okay.
don't know. Like I didn't. I mean, I could
You think
read
it never
more,
had cleared
but
up? Okay.
that was like the last one. Yeah, it never cleared up, and I mean, he's been hitting so
But
horrible. Well, I guess you can't call it hitting if he's not really doing much of it, but
yeah, just
um,
standing in the box. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the difference. Are you going fishing? Or are you going catching?
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
But same for like Musgrove. Musgrove just hit the IL, and it kind of seemed like the writing was on the wall. I was just kind of benching him where I could afford to, and it's just like I feel like an IL. Oh, there it is. Here we
hmm
go. So it's just like the numbers were low, the velo was kind of iffy, and kind of a weird start to the season going overseas, and he got shelled, and hopefully just kind of hit the reset and kind of start over because we know what Musgrove is capable of, but just kind of got off to a weird start and never really got it going.
Yeah. Another one. I guess if you rostered Dane Dunning, I just saw this as he joins. He's going on the IL. He joins Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, Jacob DeGrom, Cody Bradford, and Tyler Mahle. That's quite the rotation on the IL. But yes, that is if you borderline owned a rostered Nate Dunning, he is going to the IL. I okay, so Ryan Presley is nicked up. I guess we can lead this into like dad strength if you want to, because he's been bad.
Mhm.
It's easily linkable there. Ryan Presley giving up dad strength home runs, but Hader's been giving them up still, and I feel like the window is still open for Presley to take the role from him, even though Hader's not. And I just feel like Presley coming back. What do you think the odds are that Presley gets a couple saves moving forward if he's able to pitch like he has in the past? Because I feel like the Hader thing, they've got to try to salvage some of it because it's just been like it,
Yeah, I think you could really like mask it in a lot of different ways. I think it's probable to answer your question. I think it's pretty probable that it might happen. One, the Astros are struggling. Two, you got a righty and a lefty you're talking about. Three, they've both been struggling. So if one starts,
yeah.
picking it up more, and if we're looking at Presley, if he starts picking it up more, um, maybe there's like, oh, and they could just cover it up by like, oh, matchups, or a little extra rest for
Hader's
Presley, or
hurt, yeah, or
what,
something, yeah.
or excuse me, yeah, Hater.
Yeah.
And so I definitely could see it. I don't think it would be a full 50-50 share, but I feel like Presley could be
Yeah.
rosterable. It
Well,
just
he's so in the past has been so good that if you told me he's so good and once a week would get a save, he's probably
hmm
rosterable just because his numbers other than the save. I mean, he's efficient, he strikes people out, low whip. Like I'm just like okay, like you get me 20, maybe 15 saves a season. 15 is probably more realistic, but 15 one a week from here on out with those numbers he gives you, I'm like absolutely, I'm signing that up all day every day. Double digits with those peripherals. Yeah, like, and I guess the biggest issue is like no one's getting saves because the Astros aren't winning games. So it doesn't really. It's a moot point at this point. But I think once the Astros normalize, once like they're not this bad, I feel like I've been. Uh, Hater has obviously been pretty good, but I think that Presley got like glossed over as like, oh, you're easily replaceable. And I was like, I think that maybe not even the Astros as well were like took for granted actually how good Presley had been. And I
hmm
feel like he could get back to that very quickly, and I feel like he will steal saves. And that's what I'm like. And I'm like, I feel like if you have a guy who just lost his job or something like that, you don't have to worry about go out and pick up a starter. You could pick up a Presley who's going to lower a bunch of your other stats and steal a save from you here and there. I feel like that is a pretty likely play because I'm just not. Hater has been like good, and then I feel like loses it for a while, and then blames it on like, oh, I can't pitch in not the ninth, or contract stuff, or I feel like it's always kind of something, and that gets glossed over. And then because then he puts it all together, and like, wow, look how good he is when he's like all going, and I'm like, but that's not all the time, and right now it is not all the time, and so I feel like it could continue a little bit, and I feel like Presley could sneak in some, and not even like five or so, like a substantial, like I said, double digits. So I feel like Presley, who is coming back from lower back soreness when he's right and healthy, I feel like is a steal saves candidate. So um, I
yeah,
I don't mind that move. If you need cheap saves somewhere and don't mind rostering him.
yeah. The only other name I see is oh gosh, how do you pronounce it? Ryan Pepioit with the Rays.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Your guess is as good as mine.
it's
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard him.
yeah.
I've just been reading his
I
name,
don't know
but
if I've ever heard it pronounced consistently one way. So that's
yeah.
why I'm like, I don't know. I think we're all guessing.
So he hit the 15-day IL. Took a line drive straight off the left leg. Um, so kind of a bummer because he was like the one of those draft darlings because he had the pedigree, he had the name, he's come up with the Dodgers, and then gets traded to Tampa Bay, and people are like, "Oh, that's the same situation,
Yeah,
sweet,
yeah, exactly.
perfect." And he showed out, and I mean, having a really solid season so far. So hopefully nothing crazy. Um, but we can transition this pretty well. When you take 107-mile-per-hour line drive, like right off the shin, yeah, you might need a little bit of rest after that one.
Well, let's look at
Might
those exit
sting a little
velos.
bit.
You know, I gotta be real honest here. I thought Otani would be great, do Otani things, but I thought with like all like the problems in the offseason, switching teams, switching leagues, having Tommy John surgery, his friend during the season, because again they were in Korea while it happened, so like they were playing games that counted. So it wasn't even like before the season. It was that. Then they took a break. Then they came back. All of these things happened, and Otani is better, and he's hitting balls basically 120 miles an hour.
And he got married. Did you mention that?
Yeah, and he got married. Like so many things happen where this could have easily collapsed, and you hear like all the time, we're like, oh, that. Otani is.
You could have used it as an excuse, as a distraction.
We always talk about like the Giancarlo Stanton territory up here, like up in these like 115s, and Otani has 3 of the top 8. Like, dear God, like it is so impressive. And people like talk about Otani all the time, and I'm like, but like we can't ignore it. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be continually brought up because never see it again. You know what I mean? Like he hit a ball 119 miles an hour with a torn ligament in his elbow. I just want the like context.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even shake at a urinal with what the injury he has, and he hit a ball 119 miles an hour. Like it's incredibly impressive. So good for you, Otani. Good for you. I did see a stat here. I'll bring it up. It's for Stan's home run. He has the second hardest hit. I just accidentally clicked on 118.8. He has the most home runs of a launch angle 15 degrees or lower.
Oh gosh.
And it makes complete sense when you see how he swings. It is like a tomahawk, and it is just like he swings with like bad intentions. And it's just like he makes solid contact with his home run. It is not going to elevate, and it is going to be a screamer. And yep, it did not shock me.
He must have heard some of my Little League coaching advice and just taken it to heart, because I tell all my kids, I'm just like, hey, just try to hit it hard somewhere and good stuff will happen. Like, let's just put the ball in play, hit it hard somewhere, and then, and then hustle down the base path. So Stan must have caught word of that and really like, wow, Coach JT's, that makes sense. Let me try that.
Watching it, like it is, like he hits it so hard, but it's so low. He starts running because he's not sure it's going to clear the wall. Like it is far enough. He knows it. It's just like, is it going to like, or like hard enough? But he's like, is it going to like get over the wall? Like, just physically, like, did I hit it high enough? And yeah, it would have not been a home run in Baltimore because of the height of the wall. Oh, no, it was Boston. Sorry, it would not have cleared Boston's wall. Like that. That's the only home run part. It was 29 out of 30, and it was off Verlander too. So it wasn't, a nobody. Like just man.
Do you think we could see him like embed a baseball into like the green monster by the time he's
I don't know, but looking at it though, you're clearly like home runs. It's not at Boston because yeah, it's like that's the craziest part too. It's a single in Boston because he hit it way too hard for it to be a double. Mm-hmm. But like it's a home run in every other ballpark. It's just that's the fun part about baseball. It's not the same. Football you don't have that. Baseball. So it's lucky or unlucky depending where you are. But yeah, it's crazy to watch him. We have the normal names top 10. It is literally Otani, Stanton, Vlad, O'Neal Cruz, Judge, and then sneaking in at 10 is Mike Trout, R.I.P. But yeah, that's it. And I know I didn't say 10 names, and exactly. Yep. So yeah, it's just they just keep doing it. Who you liking outside the top 10? Because this is when we get some more fun names. I'm good at grammar.
I'm sad because I see Wilson Contreras twice and like in the top 30.
Next to his brother too. But yeah,
Yeah, and then Joe. There's your boy Joe Adele.
Joe Adele hitting monster singles and dingers. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I also, you don't have to call him my boy. I just said like, hey, maybe like it's not like I'm like Joe Adele is like figured it out. I'm just like he doesn't
If
suck like he
if
used to.
he has another really good week, we're gonna intro the podcast with Adele in
There we go.
honor of
And then I
Joe
will call him
Adele.
my boy and say I called it. So
Right.
um,
So I'll work on the copyright stuff so we can.
you're in the studio with Adele, you know, JT, so you know you got it.
I'm on tour right now. She's still doing her thing in Las Vegas, her residency. So kind of
That was a
different.
twist my arm. You see why like celebrities like do it? They're all washed up. I'm like, man, I get a penthouse and like one of the the
Mm-hmm.
Caesar's Palace, and I get to just perform every couple days, like the same
I
song.
hang
I got no stress, just songs that
right.
we know.
It's got to be ready by 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and
That's
otherwise it
it.
just kind of
6 hours a week. Ugh,
yeah.
living in Vegas, free of charge. like, like, yeah, sweet gig, sweet gig.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, nothing like crazy. I mean,
yeah,
see Ellie up here, Gunnar Henderson once, Mountain Castle once.
yeah. You kind of see the
Um,
guys you think. You get the Fernando Tatis snuck in there. Jordan. Yep.
Gary Sanchez twice here in the top 40. It's
There
kind
we
of
go. There we go,
like, oh
Gary.
yeah, that's right.
There we go, Gary. Seeing Gunnar Henderson. Yeah. Curtis Mead. There we go. There we go. Name we don't see every day.
I'd say
Hit,
Lars Newbarb is
hit
probably
it
like the
off.
only hit he had the
Yeah.
whole
I was gonna
last 2
say
weeks.
Curtis Mead, love it, but hit off the White Sox counts as like half a hit. So sorry, White Sox. We keep getting shots at the White Sox, but like it's okay. It's okay. My Sharks just got dead last in NHL. It's okay. I can take shots. My teams are bad too.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, well, let's go distance. What do we got for distance here?
Oh man, it's Otani. He had that 464 moonshot. It was crazy. This includes. I was just,
Man, he has a torn ligament in his arm. Hit 2 balls over 450 feet in a Major League Baseball game.
I was gonna say this includes yesterday, but Cal Raleigh only 14th, 445 feet. That triple decker.
Yeah, get more squats, son. Do you
Man,
even?
that was so clutch. That was
Yeah.
one of the Mariners games I was able to watch. A good chunk of it. That was really cool.
Jordan going deep twice against Colorado, identically 461. Yeah, big man swing hard, Colorado. So makes sense.
Yeah.
Hit him basically 110 each of them. See Brent Rooker up here. There you go, Oakland against Miami though. So that was a fun.
Brent Rooker is winning you or is helping your team. If you've got him,
Yeah,
definitely probably should be rostered definitely in a 15 team. He's starting to fringe up on a 12 teamer. He's helping Oakland go. It's
they have some fun players like their closer, but if they just weren't trying to move to Las Vegas so badly, I think this team would have been pretty good. If they weren't tanking to move,
right.
what could have been with Brett Rooker, Chapman, Olson, Murphy? Some of these aren't like. Did you just get a little afraid with all the names I just mentioned?
Right.
And some of the arms they could have had. I'm just saying, if they just weren't trying to move, Oakland's people are just like, oh man, Oakland sucks now. They haven't figured it out. I'm like, they're actively trying to move, but if you look at who they gave up and didn't get anything for, and they just kept
Right.
those guys, that team's pretty. I'm not saying they're the Dodgers, but they are not a joke.
They're
That lineup I
competing.
just mentioned is a nice 2 through 6 or 2 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
Could do a lot worse than that. Mariners do. So I'm just saying,
Boom.
yeah, roasted my own team. You
Dang.
deserve it. They deserve it.
John Denver was not full of it. Ryan McMahon, 3 in the top 20 home run distances.
3 in the top 18. You gotta give him the cutoff.
Okay,
You
3 in
did
the
3 in the
top
top 18. You
18.
gotta make that number seem smaller. So you like
1 in the top 4.
see my Sharks have 4 of the top 50 picks, but it's top 43. So you always say top 43. It makes it sound a little better. You know what I mean? Like so.
There you go.
You just trim off those. You don't need the fat, JT. You're leaving the fat on there. 3 of the top 18. So there you go.
Well, that's all I eat anymore. It's just protein and fat. I gotta carbs off limits. So
the key is not letting the fat go to your head. And see,
true.
there you go.
Okay.
You gotta balance it out. So, let's try to see here. O'Neal Cruz up here a couple times. A couple Cubs, different Cubs though. But oh no, never mind. Not a different Cub. Sorry, I saw the hat and I looked at the name and I was like, oops. I saw Brandon. Sorry. Meds.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
I'm sad. Wilson Contreras named 4 times in the top 45, all over 426 over the last 2 weeks.
He was that team's offense. Paul Goldschmidt, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, not feeling the vibes. So
right.
Yeah, it was kind of rough. So
well, how old's Goldschmidt now? He's like 36, old man.
Is he even 36? I always just feel like we always guess 36, and they're like, "You idiot, they're 33," and I'm just like, "I bet." But like, it just because it just makes me feel bad. How about the Andy fella in for the Dodgers? Did they just do it again?
Yeah, Goldschmidt's 36. Sorry,
is 36.
Andy fella, Andy
Pages.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I haven't really deep dived into his name. It's kind of been on my periphery, but I mean, I see Outman's name up here. Is Outman starting to come back around? Because I know he started off the season pretty.
I just know Pages has been kind of setting a little bit of some records. I want to say this, JT. Okay. I just noticed this. I'm watching the home run, and can you see my screen? Can I share my screen with you? This is gonna be great podcasting. I get it from everybody, but video. Okay. Can I get your take here, JT? This is Montgomery, but like this is a home run. I do not care about the home run, but this shot right here. This is James Paxton. Like very quickly, like looks like James Paxton, right?
Yeah, lefty.
I watched it like twice. I'm like, dude, that's like James Paxton, lefty, same build, like beard, like the look on his. I'm like, that's James Paxton, dude. You can't convince me otherwise. I've never seen Montgomery and James Paxton in the same spot. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, I like saw glitz in the Matrix, guys. Like, just so you know, like I figured it out.
Montgomery, South Carolina. It's not really near Canada.
No, but again, I've never seen the same spot. So we got a cloning thing going on, using for organs. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying.
I mean, they've both pitched for the Yankees. Do they cross paths?
No, because Paxton always got hurt. He never really pitched for the Yankees. I mean, technically did, but you know what I mean. Like, he was in uniform a couple times.
Right. So let's see. Paxton's 4 years older. Yankees 19 and 20, and Montgomery came up. Yeah, they would have been on the same team for 2 years there.
Team. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Man, they could have done
situation where like he was like a Larry Hernandez, Felix Hernandez situation where like they never stood next to each other, because I feel like we should have had this conversation if they did. So
yeah, it's just weird seeing Montgomery with facial hair, because he started with the Yankees, and then you're like, oh, you have a beard now.
He looks totally different without it, and then the facial hair was like, and it's the same type of facial hair and he has the same body. He's a lefty. Like, I'm like, you're James Paxton now. With a beard, you just become James Paxton. They're the same, like, I'm never bothered face. Like, that's just the same person. Very much a vibe. I've stared at James Paxton a lot. Anyways, let's go away from that, what we just said and admitted to ourselves out loud, and go to wOBA. How about that?
wOBA on swings. So
Yes.
we talked about plate discipline. We've talked about a bunch on previous podcasts, but we always kind of say, okay, they're seeing the ball well. They're swinging at it when it's in the zone. They're leaving off when it's out of zone. Like a lot of the basics, we can measure that. We got our metric to help us out with that. But what's happened when they're and I thought on contact, well, you can do wOBA con. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's right there on uh, StatCast Savant, Baseball Savant. So I was like, what about? So I did a search. I did what's the wOBA on when they swing? So they decide to swing, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whatever. What is their wOBA when they decide to swing at the ball? I thought that was kind of interesting to think about. So just kind of like the next evolution of okay, whatever they're swinging at, how's that outcome going? And what do you know? Shohei Ohtani. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know if we've mentioned him yet.
I believe so.
I don't think we've mentioned him within the last 30 seconds, so let's bring him up again. He's the best baseball player on the planet. So wOBA on swings, 473. So setting the bar high. And it's really interesting because if you go through this and if you like pulled up WPDI or if you kind of had a tendency, like if you search on it, like LA Daily Look Throughs, we talked about it. Man, the one time he makes contact, it's probably going to be really violent and good stuff happens. He's going to have a lot of swing and miss. Sure, that's fine. But the times he does make contact, it's probably going to be really good. Well, what do you know? He's 12th. He's a 390 wOBA on swings. So again, if you take the context of the type of player, the profile, and you can kind of pair it with what you would expect out of this, it's really interesting. And the names at the top here are guys who are having really good years. So I mean,
Josh
obviously,
Rojas.
and again, it's not on contact, so which seems more like obvious. Oh, they're making contact. They're probably having a good wOBA. It's like, so yeah, Tyler O'Neill is probably one of the names. He's second right here, right behind Ohtani at 445 wOBA.
What does he have? Like 9 home runs and he missed like 10 days? Something like
Right?
that? So
So
that makes sense.
that was the biggest one where I was like, whoa, where did you come from? Because I didn't think it'd be this high, but again,
He's at OPS over 1,000 still, at least as of 2 days ago. I mean, I don't know what it's been the
wow.
last couple days, but so I was like, yeah, he's been just killing it. So that makes sense. The one that reminds me that surprised me the most would normally most people be Josh Rojas, but again, Mariners fan, so we follow that. But is Drexel Profar at number 7? That's
Yeah.
the one that like, whoa, what are like that's surprising. Ryan Jeffers at 9, but again, our team is playing them right now, so I see that and he hit a dinger yesterday, so I'm aware of how hot he's been all year, just based off the numbers. But JT, we did leave out one injury. Someone playing well, Stephen Kwan.
Oh yeah.
So don't quote me what it is. I can't remember that, but he just went on the IL, and it sounds like it's going to be a little bit. So he's
Okay.
up here 23rd, playing great so far this year. Sandwiched between Trey Turner, Bobby Witt Jr., and that guy Andy Pages at 22.
Shout out.
So
the more I think about Profar, it should be obvious. We knew what the strategy was in San Diego. Trade away Soto and then just re-sign Profar to a 1-year deal and say, hey, Profar, be Soto. And then, like, it just happened. Like, that's just how baseball works.
Yeah. Just be that guy that we got rid of, like that future Hall of Famer. And he's like, okay. It's crazy to say that about Juan Soto, but I feel pretty confident saying Juan Soto, but Juan Soto's like 20. So, it's fine. It's fine.
Let's see. Left hamstring strain. Yeah, 4 weeks for Quan.
Hey, look at that. It's that guy, Kyle Tucker at number 11. We texted about him the other day. Pretty good at baseball. Just so people on Mariners Twitter knows.
Yeah.
Should probably be aware of that. Yeah. Yeah, I would trade a lot for Kyle Tucker.
So without scrolling down, who do you think is dead last? And like not even close.
I don't. So it's hard in the middle of the season because I don't pay attention as much as who's been the worst. You know what I mean? In fantasy, I'm always like, who's the best?
He's a longtime vet that got sent down, surprisingly.
Jose Abreu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I figured he would have been bad, but I was like, I don't know if someone's been worse or
Yeah.
bad. Okay. Yeah.
Right. He'd be one of your first 10
Yeah.
names you
Yeah.
probably guess, but
Yes.
less than 100 wOBA, like 0.095 wOBA when he decided to swing.
It is one
Um,
of those Anchormans. I'm not even mad. That's amazing. That is You're not kidding, JT, by like 60 percentage points.
yeah. Next closest is like
He is
Colt
100
Keith, Eddie
points worse
Rosario.
than Baez. That is a sentence no one should ever say.
Right.
That is amazing. Alex Bregman and Bo Bichette,
I
247,
just
240.
saw that. Yep.
Wow.
Very surprising.
I mean, I roster Bo Bichette. Not that surprising. But yeah.
Well, I mean, think
Oh, I
about
get it.
Bregman.
Yeah.
He's a plate discipline darling. Year in and year out, he's a top 10. You
Yeah.
know, and he walks a ton. He doesn't strike out much, but right now that really paints a picture of his wOBA on swings is horrible.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. He recognizes it's a good pitch. He just can't do anything with it.
He's not doing anything with
Yeah,
it. It's well said. Yeah,
he just and that's going to bleed into the rest of his career. Unfortunately, I'm like, is his power just gone? Like he cannot. He's like, that is a good pitch to hit, and I'm going to swing, and he's like, it was a flyout. It's a short left
right.
field. Like, like I'd be very very concerned if I were him coming into free agency. But
You're right.
uh,
Another big name not too far away is Rosarena, 221 wOBA on swinging. I
yeah,
mean, I know he's not an OPS killer. He's a guy that goes 20-20, home runs, steals, counting stats, somewhere probably in the 90s for runs, he's on a usually good offense. Tampa Bay's been kind of struggling this year and
they got up to 500, so I think
yep.
they're figuring it out.
But
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of in the center of like this kind of thing where it's just like you look at his stats and look at his underlying stats, and this kind of tells the tale of like he's just he's not the normal Rosarena that we've come to expect. And again, we're only a month in, but you try to see what's concerning, and that's where we're at.
I gotta give you a shout out. Two guys you like, I know. Max Kepler, Riley Green, 26, 27. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two both playing really well. CJ Abrams, we talked about him last week. Just 32 overall, looking great. He hit another he tied it in the ninth. I don't know if it was a home run he tied in the ninth or like a double or something like that, but I just saw like scrolling through Twitter like CJ Abrams ties it in the ninth. So that happened today. So DJ Abrams, man, turning into a beast. And it's not, we're on, 30 or so, 40 or so games in the season. So we're getting
Yeah.
there.
The name that surprises me, well, there's a couple, but the first one I see is Luis Garcia, Jr. I guess now I didn't recognize that he
Where's
had
he
the
at?
junior. 17th. He's got a
Oh my
385
gosh,
wOBA on
okay.
swinging, and we're
Surrounded by
from
some Orioles. Oh my goodness.
right, and we're familiar with Garcia. He's
Yeah.
put in a few years there at second base in Washington for the Nationals, and it was always just kind of like, he's got solid, plate discipline, um, kind of a contact player, nothing special, not a special roster. So the counting stats were lacking, but he's really kind of turned it up a notch this year, and definitely helpful in those 15 teams and middle infield
Yeah,
leagues
I would say
for
15.
sure.
I'd say like at this point, he's got to be, shorter leagues. You've got to look at him now. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. Above him, so we go Gunnar Henderson, Colin Cowser, Luis, and then Ryan O'Hearn for Orioles. All those guys, but then you get two catchers, Salvador Perez. Now he still has catcher eligibility in some leagues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously Yahoo, but like I think he still has the no ones. So he's catchers killing it for you, and Wilson Contreras right above him, two catchers, 15 and 14. So and then the boy Brett Rooker right there, so at 13. So some catchers really high up here, Good to see. Will Smith, 36. There we go.
Yeah. Blaze Alexander stands out as like one of those. He's kind of, his opportunity's been kind of
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
all or
noticing.
nothing.
And I noticed also just simply number of opportunities. He has a very low number to be on this list. It's got to be like right at the cutoff, like 325, but he qualifies. So yeah, but
Yeah.
really small sample size comparatively. I mean, the guy
Right.
CJ was above him has almost 600, and so
That's been a
there's a couple
pleasant
people who do have
surprise.
600, like have
Yep.
over. So yeah,
Yep.
but
Josh Naylor, our Dynasty boy, doing stuff. What was the other name I just saw? Oh, Teoscar. You
okay,
know,
yeah. Oh, I mean,
kind of bummer it didn't work out with the Mariners last year, but
you
man,
knew it was the Dodgers.
the counting stats galore so far, hitting fifth in that lineup almost every day.
Do a
So
lot worse, 3
they're-
MVPs and Will Smith, who I just missed him on the list. What is he like? I just mentioned him like 30th. You're fifth,
right.
30th. Like, don't worry about it. And
There
PDI.
was a name in the bottom I wanted to point out as well. Corbin Carroll,
Yeah,
229 wOBA swings.
he did
And
just have like a 5 RBI game. I think
mhm.
maybe we talked about it. The tide is starting to turn. We talked about it last time though. I guess Julio had 3 hits today, but again, they were all singles. Like, where's the stuff come? You know what I mean? Like we talked about, like it's probably
Mhm.
already too late for like a monster season. Like a top 4 season. But he's starting to like hit a little bit. The average is nice if you're in an average league, 270, but the OPS is still 640. Like Corbin Carroll and I think Corbin Carroll might be turning around more than Julio at this point. So I am a little nervous about Julio Rodriguez. Just
Yeah,
throwing it
where's Julio? I hadn't seen his name. Is
out.
he
Not
probably
see
somewhere in the middle?
175.
So 267 wOBA. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean it's
kind of
probably
the bottom third or right at
he's probably
yeah.
getting his front numbers probably should be a little higher. He has been getting a little unlucky, but still, like it's hard to get unlucky when you hit a ball 400 feet. You know what I mean? Like just elevate it a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's just what I'm saying. Like,
And then the two other big names to kind of round it out on the bottom is George Springer and Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, kind of mentioned Goldschmidt already, but Springer as well. Just, both right next to each other, 225, 224 wOBA on
I mean, both of
swings.
them leads to both of their teams struggling. Like
Hmm.
St. Louis is not playing well. We already talked about Bo Bichette that he's down here. You just said Springer as well. That explains it. Like they're not playing well, and I mean Vlad's not playing well either. I've been saying on the podcast I need to see it, and I'm just and people hear on podcasts all the time now are just like, is this Vlad? Is this Vlad? And I've been saying that for 2 years now. I'm like, did we already see Vlad? Like, did we already get that 1 year where everyone's like, oh man, put it all together? I'm like, is that his outlier, not his normal?
Right.
And I'm like, it's getting more and more apparent that unfortunately I was more correct than not. I was like, because I would love for Vlad to be like his dad. His dad was amazing to watch play, but I'm like, if he's not going to elevate it, he's just if you don't elevate the ball, you're other than being Stanton, you're not going to like no matter how hard you hit it, it's you're just only going to max out it so much. And he's still again his issue in the minors or coming up was could he elevate it enough? And 1 year he did, and he hasn't been. It's the Yandy Diaz. If you do everything the same and elevated it like 5 degrees, play a world
Hmm.
different player. But Vlad is just hitting in the ground a bunch, and it's just not going to get it done. And so, yeah, George Springer, I just think he might be like on the way out. He's had a good run. I mean, you can't blame him, 10,
Yeah.
11 years. But like,
We
I
had a
just,
bounce back year last year, so maybe that was kind of like one of those
yeah,
last,
yeah, so
80th percentile.
the boost before the collapse. I mean,
Yeah.
Springer's not like been like just absolutely god awful, but like you know what I mean. Like when you're like you said, the names that stand out because of what they are, just what you expect of Springer, what you expect of Paul Goldschmidt. It's just like this is not even close to what they used to be, and so that's what makes it stand out more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, is Yandy just generic brand Vladito, and Vladito's just like name brand
Exactly. No.
Yandy?
Yep. One has his dad's name, and the other one is just Kirkland. Yeah.
Man, Yandy's struggling this year too.
Yandy's issue again. It's the same thing. He
His
goes with how
plate
he
discipline's
elevates.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes with how he elevates, and he just had a monster year when he elevated. And I'm like, you don't need to do anything else. Just I don't know if it's just pitch swing what you need to do, but yeah, just. And I'm
He's
sure he's
had
aware of it. We're not breaking news to him, but
oh yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy to look at Yandy's launch angle year to year. It's like in the last 3 whole seasons, 6.6, 7.7, 5.7. It's just
yep.
that's his average launch angle. What was and Vlad's at
It's
least
like
was like barely double digits.
yeah,
It was 10 and a half.
yeah,
That was the largest launch angle for the
yeah.
year
And I'm just like,
average. I mean, it's not a great stat to look at, it just kind of paints a little bit of a picture.
yeah, there's those flaws, but I mean, it's better than like it is better than not like how else you can look at the launch angle when like launching on home runs. Well, yeah, it's a home run, so the launch angle is going to be a certain amount. So I get it, but it's just like it's just like he's just hitting they're just hitting in the ground too much. It's just doesn't matter how hard if you hit 140 miles an hour into the ground, it's still not going to be a home run. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
never going to bounce over the wall if you hit it straight in the ground, and it's just you got to elevate it. So when
There's
Vladimir Guerrero, when you're next to Ty France in this, it's just you're lower than Anthony Rendon. I'm just it's probably not the best. It's probably not going to work out for you. Sorry, Vlad. Again, I'm
yeah.
not saying he's like done as a player, but I'm just like until you figure that out and you do that 1 year and you show that 1 year isn't the outlier. I think this is who you are. I just think this is who you are, and people are just getting burned. They're figuring it out now, and I'm just like I'm not shocked. So
Yeah.
unfortunately. Okay, you want to get some ad drops?
Yeah, let's just throw out Otani's name one more time just because we haven't said his name in a while.
As
So
an
just
ad or a drop?
no, just as a ex wOBA on the season at 505.
Yeah. So
It's
drop. He'll
ridiculous.
never be hotter. He's gonna get worse. So just get rid of him.
Trade high.
Yeah, trade if you can get rid of him. If someone is willing to take Otani.
Right.
I guess number one I'm looking at. I sort here immediately. It's funny how we just talked about like half these players, but number one, Brett Rooker.
Yeah.
I don't see why he's rostered in 19% of leagues, and his percentage is climbing pretty fast. So that makes sense. Number three, Max Kepler. We talked about him. His issue is just health. I think we both agree like he's very good, but does he play? And you pick him up,
Right.
and the time the waivers clear on our Thursday, is he gonna get hurt? Like it's just I root for that. We talk about it every time the Twins team. If they're healthy, they're terrifying, but like they're just breaking. It's fragile. And then your boy Luis Garcia Jr. right there, fifth picked up, second base with 7 steals. I'm just 3 home runs and 7 steals and a 385 on base percentage. I guarantee like there are very few people with teams with second baseman better than that this year. Just throwing it out there. So yeah,
kind of buried the lead. You did mention the WSU Coug, Kyle Manzardo. He got the call up with Cleveland.
I let Butch do that. Butch do that. So
I don't think his profile's anything completely exciting. He probably is a doubles
this
type
shows
of
you how
profile.
excited they are. Kyle Manzardo, Cleveland Guardians. His profile picture is him with a Rays hat still on. So there you go.
But at the end of the day, go Cougs.
Yeah, go Cougs. 0 for 7. Yeah.
I'm excited about Johnny DeLuca. I could see you jumping on like a 15-team league and just seeing if you can catch a little bit of lightning in the bottle.
From the Dodgers to the Rays. Is there 2 teams that could trade more and you talk yourself into be like, I could see it? Like either side, and I phrase it that way if possible. You're like trade and be like totally fine with picking up whoever got traded in this deal. Because I'm like, yeah,
right.
They both are. Because everyone's like, well, when they trade away from the Dodgers, what did they not see or what can they not fix? And I'm like, well, but they, like you said, they went to the Rays, and they fix everybody. Then likewise, the Dodgers, they fix everybody. So I'm like, yeah, pick it up. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Our dynasty team appreciates DeLuca playing well.
Tyler Black down here. Okay. Not the biggest guy named Black to be picked up recently, but little starting pitcher. Trying to see who else that I'm interested in. Not at the moment, to be honest. I guess just my Patrick Wisdom always a little bit, but I'm not. Uh, I would just say I'm interested. Let's put it that way. I'm not picking him up, but I
Yeah.
would be like, okay, let's see if this continues. But yeah, the guys I would be picking up, I guess we could Brett Rooker, obviously Max Kepler if healthy, and then what you said, Luis Garcia Jr. Second base especially. I might put a waiver claim on him because you brought him up because I do need a second baseman. So Jorge Blanco is not getting it done, and so
Yeah.
Luis Garcia. I mean, he's playing fine. Washington, like you got some bats. I'm just gonna say it, like
They snuck above 500 on the season.
Jesse Winker's playing great. We've talked about C.J. Abrams, Logan Thomas, Luis Garcia. They've got they got some guys playing well there, and so
Right.
did
I
they win?
mean, and actually, of recent, that's without Logan Thomas.
Oh
So,
yeah, but yeah,
I mean, when he comes back, that's just
yeah,
adding to
but yeah, I'm just saying, like, did they win the Juan Soto trade? Um,
What?
because I think the one team that didn't was the Padres. Like,
Right.
the Yankees are winning the Juan Soto trade right now too. Like, yeah, the Padres just did win it.
Uh, I mentioned pitcher Christian Scott.
Yep, flipped over
I
those
think he,
pitchers. Yeah,
if you missed out on picking him up last week and he's still available, he's staying up with club, and I mean he's pitching against Atlanta, so not the greatest second game, but he pitched against Tampa Bay 6 2/3. Had a great performance. So it's just kind of like a bit of a name, a little bit of a hype, and so he's sticking around, and so not really sure how it's going to shake out with Mania, and then Quintana's struggling hardcore. So I mean, he might kind of thread the needle and hang around. So
yeah,
it's always like the young pitchers that got a
yeah.
chance.
One guy, our dynasty league, second pick, Chris Paddock, in the last 4 starts, 10 strikeout games.
Mm-hmm.
Struck out the Mariners 10 times today. Not shocking, but so
Right.
I'm just saying, like, earned runs last 4 games, 0-4. Could have been better, but you know, still got the win, and then 0-1. So I just, I guess let's say I wouldn't pick him up, but like, it is definitely turning around. The talent will always be there. The changeup looked really good today, so I keep an eye. Like he's scheduled to start against the Yankees, so probably not that start. But if that start goes well, then I'm like, okay, like there's something. I mean, he shut out Boston 6 scoreless innings, 6 strikeouts. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something here you can look at. Maybe he's figuring something out. Like takes a while. So I mean, he got blown up by Baltimore and gave up 4 and 5 against the Angels. But other than that, like two earned runs against the Dodgers, 0 against the White Sox, 0 against Boston, 1 against Seattle. So I'm like, other than 2 starts, because again, it's still early in the season, 2 starts can look really ugly. Maybe there's something here. Paddock's won his last 4 games in a row on a 4-game winning streak, so he is definitely put on the watch list for me. Put on the watch list because that stuff starts turning into and playing. Talent, sky's the limit. Talent's all there.
Yeah. I would say like a 15 team. And actually, I just did this because I needed pitching. I was kind of in an IL sticky situation. But Cole Irvin of Baltimore, he is going to get you good ratios. He's going deep in the game. The last 3 outings over 6 innings each time. Only 2 walks out of all those 3 outings.
Last 4 outings, only 2 walks.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
he's striking out a handful ish each time. But I mean, like, definitely in those leagues that you have the wins that matter. He's on Baltimore. Don't know if you heard they're pretty good. So always good probability for the win. And he's been pitching well. He's got Diamondbacks coming up on Friday, and I mean, he's just kind of one of those like where you could just like spot start. Um, if it's hanging around. I mean, it's just kind of he's a one of the more added pitchers here on ESPN. That's why just
I
the
mean,
name stood out.
you ratios. I mean, like you're like, man, he's not striking all. He's averaging about 3, maybe 4 strikeouts a game. I'm like, but JT, his WHIP is 0.6 the last 3 starts combined. So I mean,
Hmm.
it works. If you twist my arm to take a 0.6 and a 0 ERA, I can look past the 4 strikeouts a game. You give me the rest of those ratios. They'll play
Right.
3 wins. And again, one is against Oakland, but the other 2 is against Kansas City and Cincinnati. At Cincinnati too. Like, and those other 2 teams, Kansas City, I don't know if it's like, but they've been hot. Like everything they do has just been good. So, and Cincinnati just, we talk about it, they rostered their whole team in fantasy offensively. So yeah, like so I I got to have a name. I think we're gonna call it Discofani. He's the Discofani. Cole Irvin, when he was in Oakland, now he's in Baltimore. He's the guy who 4 people are gonna roster, and there's no shame in rostering a Cole Irvin.
Hmm.
Like, he is, again, the only reason why he's not more owned like massively is the strikeouts. If he struck out like 8 a game, we're talking like, I mean, his numbers would come down. And he does so many things well. He's like a 3.6 ERA guy, but just doesn't strike out a lot of guys. So like that ERA is not going to do it for you. But in Baltimore, I don't know the confidence, what they're doing there. Because confidence is a thing. If you think, my team's going to pick up these 4 runs if I give it up, you're more free. You're going to take some risks, and he is just like letting it go and is looking real good in Baltimore. So yeah, if he plays like this, like, yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
that percentage owned is gonna skyrocket for sure.
All
Uh,
right. Is there any
Graham
names you?
Graham Ashcraft,
Oh,
one last one. That's it. I'll just
okay.
want to throw him out there. Watch him. I like what he's doing in Cincinnati. So, like, yeah. The only guy I'm rushing to pick up is Christian Scott, and then I guess I do need one, and I probably will make a play at Cole Irvin, but Chris Paddock and Graham Ashcroft are on my watch list. I wouldn't pick them up, but I would watch how they do for one more start. Who does Graham have next? Arizona Diamondbacks. So I would watch how that one goes. So
Yeah,
I like how it's been going. So
that'd be a good barometer. Let's
yeah,
see.
who's on the train for you for hitters?
Oh, for hitters, let's see. Let me switch tabs. Well, I've seen it on some fantasy baseball Facebook groups. I can say that.
Okay.
Cowser, his name's been coming up a lot. Start off so hot, and then he's been pretty cold last few weeks, and it's just kind of like, what do you do?
Is this just a crazy regression to the mean and it's going to normalize, or is it just
Right?
going to be a roller coaster? What do you think? Like, is it going to be a roller coaster all year?
It could be. I honestly hadn't done a deep dive. Let me pull up his font real quick. I mean, I could. Man, they're so loaded. I could just see they're like, oh, you're struggling. You want to go
Just
back to the minor? I mean, I don't think that's the
Well,
right
if you back
answer.
out, I just would let him run. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, we
Yeah,
can eat your cold streak. Like, that's fine. Just stick it at the bottom. And be like, look, you'll get out of it, and we have the other guys that we don't need you to be hot right now. So I
I
think they sent down Holiday just because he looked overmatched and wasn't ready. Cowser
right.
just looks like it's kind of all over the place right now. It's like a Kyle Seager beginning of the year. It's just like, what is happening here? And you just wait, and you look. His first 80 or so bats are going to be rough. Maybe like a Cole Cowser. These next 60 bats are going to be rough. We just got to eat them. We just got to get through these next 60 bats, and he's going to heat back up again. Is it that situation?
Yeah, it could be. Let's see. They faced most recently the Nationals, Reds, Yankees, A's, Angels, Royals. I mean, those are nothing. Pitching staffs isn't crazy. Like you'd think, oh man, just kind of ran into a bad streak of. I don't know. I mean, it could be just averaging out to the mean. I mean, we're still talking about a guy with a 910 OPS after backsliding from a 1.1
Yeah,
or
yeah,
1.2
yeah.
just a couple weeks ago.
That's what I think. I think
Um,
it was just so hot, and I think it's a regression to the mean real fast. And I
mhm.
think it'll settle in to like being where it settles in is obviously probably the $1 million question. but I think it'll settle into being a pretty good major leaguer for this season. I just think, like, obviously it wasn't going to be the start. You thought it would regress a little slower, but it's regressing pretty
Mm-hmm.
fast. But I think it'll be major league caliber player at the end of the day. I think I have two. If you got it, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna hurt to say out loud. I think Brian Hayes is a I don't want to say a liability, but it's fine. Like, he only has one home run, and like what he does is, like, in real baseball is like fine, but as a fantasy player, I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, this isn't it. I need more than this to be a fantasy player. And the other one is Marte. I've never been much of a Marte guy, but we have one steal in the last 14 days and no home runs.
Sterling.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
I just
I hadn't seen him in a while.
He's 4-7 on the season, but his OBP is down. And like we talked about hot and cold streak, I just think that this is closer to who he is than, the 25-25 guy. I just think that there's a cliff coming with these speed guys, these speed power guys, and I think he's close to it. I just think he's close to it. I just think been nicked up a little bit too. I mean, maybe it's injury related, but the way I've been looking at him, like, it doesn't look good. And so I'm like, ugh. It's an outfield. There's a lot of guys. We just talked about Brett Rooker. Like, you struggle in the outfield, you're getting moved. Unfortunately. So, yeah, those are my two big ones. You got anybody, JT?
I was right there with you with Hayes. I finally dropped him, and I refilled my third base, and his play discipline has been really good. I think he's like a top 25 guy.
Yeah.
It's just he's not. It's not much accounting stats. Not much to write home about.
It's Bregman. Like, you recognize it, but
Yeah,
you didn't hit over a wall. You know what I mean? Like,
plays great defense, but that doesn't matter in fantasy, because at the end of the day, it's counting stats. It doesn't matter if they're seeing the ball well, or
it'd be
even
a
if
fun
they're
defensive
right.
fantasy. But yeah.
Well, the league I do miss is the one where we did like the inverse, like the guys who get enough playing time who would do horrible 4 strikeout games.
That took, for people who don't like normal day-to-day daily roster baseball, is a lot of work. It was so much harder to play that league because you couldn't just be like, oh, this guy's hot and I'm just going to sit on this guy. It was the opposite. If he was so cold, you're like, look, he's not going to play for much longer. I've got to like anticipate him being sent down or this happening. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Jose Abreu was winning you weeks in that league, and now he's not anymore. And you're like, crap. Imagine if like you had prime, Ohtani right now, and then all of a sudden Ohtani breaks his like arm in half, and you're like, oh no. Like, that happened every time that they were going hot, and so it was like, every time someone on a hot streak for you in that league, you're like, I got to figure out how to replace him. I got to be on this because they're just going to get replaced here in a couple weeks. So, yeah, it was an intense league.
And the draft was so much fun because at a certain point, you're like, this guy?
It was like, right off the bat, there was like 2 guys, and then everyone's like, I don't know. And so it was just like the 4th pick, it was just like, this person? Like, and everyone's staring, you're like, I don't know if that's bad. Like, you know what I mean? Because again, like, how long is his leash? How long is he going to be allowed to struggle? So you're kind of taking established older players, but they're like, what if they just don't? And you're just like, I don't know. And so it was there's never a move in that league that could ever be like ridiculed because you never knew. And it was so team dependent, and these are things we don't know. And so that's why I was just like, I don't know. Like, you're just like, I think this is going to work. And it was so super fun. Mike Trout was an early pick in that league. Remember that? Yeah. Because he struggled so much the year before when he was like 19.
The year before, yeah.
Yeah, and then he got dropped real fast. That like a 10 WAR that year. Yeah, he got dropped real fast.
Yeah, that year, I'm trying to think, because I had a monster outfielder in that, I don't know what you call, anti-fantasy league. Is Detroit's...
I had Figgins.
Ooh.
Good. Mariner Figgins.
What year was that?
Dude, man. We played fantasy for so long. I just remember having...
You just said it was Trout's second year.
Second? Oh, yeah, that's right. Was it a second year? Because Yeah. Mike Trout. Yeah.
So I want to say I had, yep, right here.
No,
Was
because
it
I could have Figgins then, because Figgins was still with
Austin
LA.
Jackson? No.
Was Figgins with LA?
I just remember he was outfielder for Detroit that year, and he was so bad at being good in this league, or good at being bad in this league, whatever.
No, I did. I did have Figgins. I did have Figgins. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was just so good for me, but he didn't play the full season. He played half the season for me. Yeah. Yeah. 480 OPS. Gosh, there we go, Figgins. That was so money for me. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
So yeah, so if anyone wants to, I think there's still leagues out there like that.
Oh
It's
yeah, there's got to be.
points based and strikeouts, and you just kind of all
JT,
calculate it up.
we're gonna get off on a tangent, but that's what we do on this podcast. Can we talk about how I'd never say that Figgins was like an amazing signing by Jack Z, but it's like I'm not gonna say it's quite Anthony Rendon because Anthony Rendon's a superstar, but like 100 walks and 42 steals to 21 walks and 11, like
Wow.
uh, like 789 OPS, 484. I get that like it wasn't a great signing, but like who saw that? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what? Like I don't. It's incredible. It was incredible to watch. Like in real time, you're like 110 OPS plus 40. It's literally Colton Wong. What just happened with Colton Wong? It's like I'm not even mad. It's just amazing. It is just amazing. But just wow. Sorry, deep dived on Sean Figgins and it broke my brain again for another time. I just couldn't believe it. Okay, pitchers. Let's do pitchers we're ready to drop. I don't want to drop ones that are like hurt because that's cheating. I'm always really slow on dropping pitchers, to be honest. I always feel like they could turn around. Like
Yeah.
Logan Allen's getting some. Yeah, probably time to drop Logan.
Man, Savale in. Man, that's a tough couple recent starts.
Yeah, Logan Allen, Savali,
Oh my
couple
gosh.
Cleveland guys.
And that's, yeah, it's Savale. Drop Savale.
Yeah.
Two of those, the last four starts two of the last three, excuse me, have come against the White Sox, and he got shelled in the first one, and he didn't do any better, really. Yeah, I'd move on, go chase something else.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, though. Let's see here. Gosh, I'm trying to help people out by looking at rostered and drops.
You willing to
All the
drop?
big guys getting dropped are all hurt, and that's why they're getting dropped.
Are you willing to drop Stroman? That's kind of a name brand fringy kind of.
Yeah. I just haven't dropped him yet. Just due to like not an option I liked out there more. Just not playing him as much. I've been playing him the last 2 weeks. That's just because I've been behind in some pitching stats. So I'm like, what's there to lose? But like, if I was in matchups more, I'd be like, let's just, I would like play it by ear a bit more. But yeah, he's never been much of a Sherman fan, to be honest. But I think he's a little
right.
But yeah, no, you're right. I can't remember like with the Mets, right? Yeah. No, wait, Stroman
Yankees.
Yankees. Who's the one with the Mets? Severino's with the Mets. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Got my New York teams mixed up. Trying to think who else. Nobody really like. Yeah, pitchers. I'm just like, other than the two we said that are for sure drops. But again, they're not really rostered in that many leagues. Let me see here. See if there's a pretty obvious one.
I mean, we've talked about Hunter Brown before. He's still 42% rostered in ESPN.
42% rostered.
I'm just like, it's too high. How about that? Like, it's kind of like we've already said probably drop him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but
no, like absolutely not. He had a good game against the Mariners, but on like ERA level. But in the first 2 innings, they had like 5 guys on and didn't score. Like it was just like it could have been so bad so fast that like I'd be like, I watched that game and I'd be like, that was a terrible game. I would drop him based on that game. You're like, well, he only gave up like 1 or 2 runs. I'm like, no. You watch that game, he was so lucky to get out everything. So yeah, No. Oh, he's right here. How many did he give up against Seattle? He gave up 2 in 4 innings. I'm like, yeah, 5 hits, 4 walks. His WHIP was over 2. It was a miracle he gave up 2 only in that game. Yeah, 2.5 ERA or WHIP. Yeah, be fortunate he only gave up 2.
Reed Detmers is 75% rostered in ESPN.
He has a no hitter, man.
I know, and I know he has a ton of strikeout potential, but dude is just giving up dingers, and his whip is just decimating you.
His high was like amazing, but I'm like, other than like its stretch, I'd never seen it. You know what I mean?
You know what he's gonna do? He's gonna go to the Rays, or he's gonna go to the Dodgers, and he's gonna be a long relief. Was he lefty, if I remember right?
He's gonna go to he's a lefty. He's gonna be the when like Joe Kelly retires, he's just gonna slide right in there.
Gosh darn it!
You know that's what he's gonna do. And you see it too, JT. You just see it.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, I like I do like Woods Richards. So I'm just saying, like, he's not going far into games yet. Like, they're kind of like, okay, like they're being pretty careful with him. But what is happening has been really nice. I like that. So yeah. So like, don't break your bank for him if he's in a fab league, but $10 or so, $10 or so, and like 100 or a little bit less. Yeah, totally, absolutely. I'm all about it because I think he's showing very good signs and has the pedigree. So just taking a while to get there. Like it. Sorry, I just saw him on the drop list. I was like, oh, why is he being dropped? I've been pleased with him because I didn't expect that, but I was like,
maybe just a spot start versus the Mariners.
Yeah, like he's rostered in low leagues, but they're like, oh, he's only gone enough for a quality start twice, and I'm like, well, yeah, but I didn't think he's gonna be on a huge pitch count, and I didn't think he was gonna be going deep into games yet. But he's got 2 quality starts in the last 4, so so I'm be happy with that.
Yeah,
he's like my 7th starter, 6th starter. I'm like, yeah, that's what you want. Like whatever you give me, it's plus, and your ERA is 1.7 on the season. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't you only went 5 innings, fine. Like your ERA is 1.7, awesome. I'll deal with whatever else. If that's what I got to worry about, you're not. Well, he's not striking out a bunch of guys. I'm like, my 7th starter. If I'm worried about him getting strikeouts, probably should have made my team.
Right, that's my fault.
Yeah.
There's one other name here where I'm just like, man, in a 15-team league, I could. I don't know if I could cut him yet, but man, I am benching him. It's Lance Lynn. He's kind of had like a way up and down game to game. He just walks too many, and then he was home run central last year. Now it's like every other game he gives up a dinger, but it's just, I don't know how inconsistently consistent you can.
Kidding, that is a lot of walks.
I can't trust it. So why even have him on the roster if I'm not even willing to start him with conviction?
In a quality start league, especially, he's just with that many walks, and he does strike out some guys. That combo is never going to get deep into a game. Then, if you're walking guys and striking out guys, you're going to max out at 5, and that's what he's done. 4 of the last 5 games, 5 innings. That's just what you're going to do. He went 7 against Oakland. Congratulations, but like other than that, you're just like, yeah. Other than that, he has not had enough innings to qualify for a quality start. So, I'm just, when you strike out people and walk too many guys, you're just never going to pitch deep enough into games.
Yeah. And then I see Michael King here. It's kind of similar vein. 60% rostered ESPN. I could see more.
That was the hype from the Yankees. Like, they're like, he's going to be a full-time starter now. Let's do it. And it doesn't always translate. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, I think I know what Lynn is. I'd be more intrigued if you're able just to ride him on the bench. I don't know. That's a lot of home runs, and that's a decent amount of whip. That's inflated by the walks. I don't know. Like, he had a 10 strikeout game a month ago, and he just shut out Arizona, most recent outing. That's a positive
7
turn.
walk game though. Like,
I know. And then
oh my.
he also had a 3 home run game against Philly and a 4 home run game against LAD. But it's just like that's a lot of volatility. But at
But I mean,
least
like, it's not like he's not gonna play the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Like, he pitches for San
it's
Diego.
true. It's
Like,
true. I
that's
just
just
have a soft spot for young pitching that's getting opportunities where I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
been
yeah,
there, done that, get him out of there. Just kidding. But
yeah. I mean, it's hard being a Padres pitcher, you know? You do have to go to Colorado sometimes. He gave up 4 runs in 3 innings there. He plays
mhm.
against the Dodgers and Arizona. He did shut out Arizona, but Arizona can mash too. So, it is tough if you're a little bit wild or something like that in that division, you know. And even the Giants aren't much of a slouch. I mean, they're another struggling hitting now, but like, especially with Solar going down. But like, that's not. It's a very deep lineup. No superstars, but like when healthy and executing, those are all major league bats for the most part.
Right.
So it's not even your easiest game is not that easy. So, um, yeah, I get it. All right, I think that's a good spot. You
That's
got a dad
good.
joke? Got a dad joke?
Yeah. Yep. So I wanted to just it rings true. And I don't know if it's an age or if it's just a male thing, but it says at my age, but maybe just for my gender as well. I'm really good at multitasking. I can listen, ignore, and forget things all at once.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's really nice.
oh man, but yeah, dad jokes on Twitter, just feeling it. I mean, here's another. They're so good. Like I was just share it, right? My wife and I were blissfully happy for 27 golden years, and then we finally met each other.
Yeah,
um,
you know,
and then, let's end it with the baseball one. We might have said this, but it might have been a couple years ago, one of the earlier dad pods. Why Cinderella not good at playing baseball? Because she keeps running away from the ball.
I don't know if we said that one. I don't know if we said that one. I think
I don't
that's the
know.
first one. That's a good one. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So
Those ring true. That's
right.
all the marriage ones ring true. It's just what it is. It's just Grandpa would let his hearing aids die. Just let them go.
Right.
Not replace
Yeah.
them. Just, they
They
do.
don't make the batteries anymore. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
I don't
about.
know what I'm talking about. Can't get in trouble if I can't hear.
All right. And then our Dad Bod Player of the Week, Matt Tugboat Wilkinson. Single A pitcher for the Lynchburg Hillcats. He goes 6 innings, 15 Ks, and he's just big country is the vibe.
So for background here, I had found this guy on TikTok, and I was gonna
Ooh.
save him for a dad pod. And JT in our like chat was like, "Hey, I got this guy." I was like, "Oh, JT." I was sitting on this gold
Oh,
for a
my
while,
bad.
but you know, like it was just meant to be because we both had discovered him, and it was just like, "Oh yeah." So like, I was like, I thought the same thing. I was like, "This guy is," because I saw a little TikTok interview with him, and he sounds dad pod big country. Like yeah, like
Ooh. Okay, I need to get that
so
audio. I haven't heard him in an interview.
I'll try see if I can try to find it and send it to you. But yeah, because it was a while back. I think it was like right after we recorded our last one. So it sit on it for about 6 days or so. And so yeah, I was like, yeah, if you guys don't know, yes, man, nickname, hell of a nickname too, hell of a nickname. Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. Tugboat, and you'll look at him and you're like, makes sense. That makes
Yep.
sense. Yeah.
Yep. I feel like he could just like pull a vehicle if you're like stranded. He'll just help pull the vehicle to the side of the road for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Load a bale of hay on each arm and like
There's the
where do you want this?
there's the what is it, the new thing on TikTok? Who do you trust to be with a man or a bear? And if you just and Tugboat was there versus a bear, you'd be like, which one's the bear? Which one's Tugboat? I don't know. They look the same. You know what I mean? Like I don't know who's who. So it's Tugboat. It's just Tugboat. So yeah.
And then shout out to the Lynchburg Hillcats. I'd say underrated ball caps. I
Ooh,
like their selection.
okay. Oh,
Pretty
was it
fire.
you that sent me? Oh, it was my brother that sent me. Was it that neon game that's coming in the Tri-City?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sick hat because it's literally like blacklight. So
Right? Glow in the dark,
yeah,
full game glow in the dark,
baseball,
uniforms,
everything.
ball, bat, like that'll be an experience. That's bananas-esque. That's bananas rubbing off on actual, baseball, and think
Yeah,
of it more of a globetrotter. It's for the fans, like at a certain level, if it's not fully professional ball, it's, wooden bat league, and you're just trying to
yeah.
get fans to come in, and
Oh yeah,
and
like
the kids get to play based on that opportunity that the fans create. I mean, that's cool. Forward thinking
oh,
of thinking
banana
of the
ball.
fans first.
I'll just send you a video about banana ball after this, but because I don't want to
Okay.
explain it because it won't make any sense. But yeah, it's hilarious. I love it. But yeah, more banana ball, more just doing stuff. I want to see a neon game in the Tri Cities. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you listening. Take care. Be well. And until next time, see ya.
See ya.